You've been here before. Or maybe you're expecting to be here one day. You sit in a sterile room and your doctor walks in with a file that holds your future. They point to one number LDL, the bad cholesterol land. A story begins. A story of risk, of diet, of medication. For 50 years, that story has been simple. Lower this number or risk a heart attack. But what if that's not the full story? What if the most important clues to your heart health aren't found in that one number? Today, we're going beyond the headlines to investigate the cholesterol paradox. To understand where we're going, we have to know where we've been. Our story starts in 1948 in a small town in Massachusetts. The Framingham heart study was a landmark piece of science. For the first time, researchers followed thousands of ordinary people over decades to see who developed heart disease. And they found some powerful clues. High blood pressure was a risk, smoking was a major risk, and yes, high levels of a waxy substance called cholesterol were found in the arteries of those who had heart attacks. Specifically, they focused on low-density lipoprotein, or LDL. LDL's job is to transport cholesterol from the liver to cells that need it for repair and hormone production. But the study suggested that when there was too much LDL, it could build up in the arteries, forming plaque. This process is called atherosclerosis. LDL was branded the villain, bad cholesterol. This discovery was revolutionary. It gave us a target. A multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry grew around developing drugs to lower it, like statins. Government health guidelines were written, and the food industry responded, giving us an entire generation of low-fat products. The mission was clear: get your LDL down, and it worked. Statins are incredibly effective at lowering LDL cholesterol. Yet, a paradox emerged that you don't often hear about. A major 2009 study of over 130,000 patients hospitalized for a heart attack revealed something stunning. Nearly half of them had LDL levels in the optimal range. They were the good patients playing by the rules, yet they ended up in the same place as those with sky-high numbers. So if LDL isn't the whole story, what is? Modern science has shown us that the old view of LDL was too simple. We need to upgrade our analogy. Imagine your bloodstream is a highway. The standard LDL test tells you the total weight of all the cars on that highway, but it doesn't tell you what kind of cars are there. In your blood, there are two main types of LDL cars. First, you have large, fluffy particles. Think of these as big, slow-moving cargo trucks. They go about their business and are generally less likely to cause a traffic jam. This is large, buoyant LDL. But then, you have another type, small, dense particles. Think of these as aggressive little motorbikes. They're small enough to squeeze through the cracks in the highway barrier your arterial wall and get stuck, starting a pileup. This is small, dense LDL, LDLDL. The problem is, two people can have the exact same total LDL number, say, 130, but wildly different heart attack risks. One person might have mostly harmless cargo trucks, while the other has a swarm of dangerous motorbikes. The standard test can't tell the difference. So how do we get a more accurate traffic report? We count the cars themselves. There's a more advanced test called an ApoB test. Apolipoprotein B is like a license plate. There is exactly one ApoB molecule on every single potentially plaque-causing particle, including all the motorbikes. Counting ApoB gives us the true particle concentration, a much better indicator of risk. Okay, so if the real danger is having too many of these small, dense particles, the next question is obvious. What causes them in the first place? It's not dietary fat or cholesterol, like we were told for decades. The answer lies in how our body handles energy. The answer is metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance. When you eat carbohydrates, especially refined sugars and flours, they break down into glucose, raising your blood sugar. Your pancreas releases insulin to move that glucose from your blood into your cells for energy. But in the modern world, many of us are bombarding our bodies with sugar and processed carbs 24/7. Our cells become overwhelmed and start ignoring the signal from insulin. This is insulin resistance. Your body's response? The pancreas panics and pumps out even more insulin. This state of high insulin sends a cascade of dangerous signals. It tells your liver to start pumping out triglycerides, a type of fat, into the bloodstream. And this process is what churns out those small, dense, atherogenic LDL particles. This gives us a powerful clue we can find out almost any standard blood test. The triglyceride to HDL ratio. Triglycerides, as we just learned, are fats in the blood that go up with high insulin. HDL is the good cholesterol, the cleanup crew that removes cholesterol from your arteries. In a healthy person, triglycerides are low and HDL is high. In someone with insulin resistance, the pattern flips, triglycerides become high and HDL drops. A triglyceride to HDL ratio of over 3 is a major red flag for metabolic dysfunction. It's one of the best proxies we have for spotting that swarm of motorbike particles. But there's one more piece to the puzzle. Cholesterol doesn't act alone. It needs a partner in crime: inflammation. Think of your artery lining as a smooth, perfect brick wall. Cholesterol particles can't easily get in. But inflammation caused by smoking, high blood pressure, and especially the metabolic chaos from high insulinis like a blowtorch, damaging that wall. It creates cracks and sticky patches, allowing those small LDL particles to burrow in and start forming plaque. Heart disease isn't just a plumbing problem. It's a problem of chronic inflammation. So, armed with this deeper understanding, how do we build a truly effective strategy against heart disease? The answer isn't a single pill, but a total system upgrade. 1. Diet. Focus on food quality, not just fat. The war between low fat and low carb missed the point. The real enemy is ultra-processed food. The single most impactful change you can make is to reduce your intake of foods that come in a crinkly bag or a box with a cartoon mascot. By cutting back on added sugars, refined grains, and industrial seed oils, you lower the metabolic burden on your body. Focus on a diet of whole, unprocessed foods, quality protein, fiber from vegetables, and healthy fats from sources like avocados, olive oil, nuts, and fish. 2. Movement, your body's best medicine. Exercise is non-negotiable. It does 2 critical things. It makes your cells more sensitive to insulin, fighting the root cause directly, and it reduces inflammation. A combination of aerobic exercise like brisk walking or cycling and resistance training to build muscle is the gold standard. 3. Beyond the plate, sleep and stress. Never underestimate the fundamentals. Poor sleep and chronic stress increase inflammation and worsen insulin resistance. Prioritizing 7 to 8 H-hours of quality sleep and finding healthy outlets for stress are direct investments in your cardiovascular health. This brings us to the conversation you need to have with your doctor. It's not about rejecting their advice, but about deepening the discussion. Ask questions that show you're thinking about the whole picture. Given my risk factors, could we run an ApoB or an NMR lipo profile to see my particle count? What does my triglyceride to HDL ratio tell us about my metabolic health? Beyond my LDL number, what other biomarkers can we track to see if my lifestyle changes are working? Finally, a balanced word on statins. These are not evil drugs. For people with genetic conditions that cause extremely high cholesterol, or for those who've already had a heart attack, they are proven lifesavers. The real debate is about their widespread use for primary prevention in otherwise healthy people. The modern approach isn't to demonize the pill, but to prioritize lifestyle first and use medication intelligently as a targeted tool when it's truly needed, not as a replacement for foundational health. The story of heart disease is no longer a simple tale of good and bad cholesterol. It's a more complex and frankly more empowering story about the overall health of your metabolism. It's about the quality of the food you eat, the way you move your body, and the signals you send to your genes every day. Understanding this paradox, that the number you've been told to fear might not be the real threat, is the first step. The next step is using that knowledge to have a better conversation with your doctor and build a strategy that protects you for a lifetime. Thanks for watching.